Welcome to Natural Born Talents. This series is about ego versus the rest of us. As I explained in other videos, the basic concept of ego is everything that love isn't. It's the opposite of love. And within ego, egotists will hook anger, frustration. They will block you from achieving your goals in life. They will pretty much do anything to try to destroy or interfere or enslave humanity. Now, there's another video that I'm putting out that goes into much more detail on how the egotists and their sycophants react in this world at this time. But this video is going to be more geared towards the two main forces that work with an ego, that is decadence and moralism. Decadence is far more easy to spot as destructive behavior, and those people who are decadent are usually at the fingertip of the other group, the moralists. The dead giveaway to that is that they have a privileged life in a safe zone somewhere, while all the chaos and turmoil are happening elsewhere. In other words, the ego running the lives of the sycophant while they look good and the decadent people do all the work for them. And I'll explain this in many ways, but I think for people to understand that our world right now is black and white, good versus evil, bad and good. And it is such a shallow way of thinking, but that's how the egotists take advantage over other people. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to try to avoid getting trapped by their spiritual traps, and there are many of them. Now let's take a look at the basic decadent person, and that's the kind of person that really doesn't care about creating a house, is much more interested in, say, killing somebody, raping somebody, creating some sort of destructive behavior, pretty much to anything in life itself. They're easy to spot because they will eventually get caught by authorities simply because they cannot control their destructive behavior. Now, some people who have destructive behavior go out through life without ever being caught, but people kind of look at them and say, oh, geez, that person is out of line, and just avoid them. Some serial killers are actually quite clever, and because they're decadent and clever, they can get away with killing so many people. But what a lot of people don't realize is that these people are not independent from the egotists. They're the tools of the egotist. They are allowed to do destructive behavior in other people's lives as long as it doesn't interfere with their life, the egotist's life. And why is that? It's because the egotists are motivated by jealousy or envy. Their souls are so shallow and weak that anyone else who has something better than them makes them feel very uncomfortable. So they're willing to go beyond what most of us would imagine in controlling destructive behavior in others to get power over others. But what created them? Were they born that way? Some, in my opinion, were. Were they groomed that way? Some, in my opinion, were also. It really is case by case. But more often than not, I see a lot of decadent people come from very, very, quote, good homes. But when you look at the good homes, on the outside, what was truly going on the inside was something else. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, to understand that further, let's take a look at the moralists. Now, again, not all moralists are really bad people, and not all decadent people are really bad people. The reason I say that is there's a lot of people on this planet who are just experiencing these things. Truly in their heart, there's something else that's going on, and they have no control of the decadent behavior, or in some cases, the moralistic behavior. But having said that, let's take a look at the moralist. The moralist is somebody who is decadent but hides their decadence through, quote, proper behavior. This is very common in the keep up with the Joneses world of life. You have the husband and wife, the car, and the 2 children and the boat and all of these things that are material things. Now, in itself, that's not a bad thing. There are some people who work very hard to achieve those simple goals, and that in itself is okay. But what happens more often than not, to try to look better than someone else, they spend a great amount of time and effort putting the people around them beneath them in some way or another. This could be by collecting material things to look better, or it could be actual psychological attacks and or manipulation. And also, they try to make their children more than what they are, or different from what they are, more often enough to fit their image. They get all kinds of pressure, the children get all kinds of pressure from their parents to fit in society, to go to elite school, to be on the track and field team, to achieve good grades, and so on and so forth. Now, this isn't making them more intelligent, it's actually making them more decadent or obedient. If it goes too far, the parents can start becoming abusive and the children can snap and become decadent. But the parents really don't want to see this. So they go out of the way to try to hide any abnormal behavior, hiding all their skeletons in the closet as well. These people tend to be good talkers, and they will shut down anyone very quickly if confronted. Oh, I'm not like that. My son and my daughter are okay, so on and so forth. More often than not, they are living in an illusion, a fantasy world, the Matrix, whatever you want to call it. These people are the most abusive, destructive people of all of them, even more so than the decadent people. And the reason for this is because they're harder to spot as being decadent, because they're always hiding the truth from others. Now, a lot of people in the back of the head, oh, these people are crazy, I feel sorry for their children, etc., etc. But the moralists never really truly play with their children. They're always telling them what to do, even if it runs roughshod over the psychological, emotional, sexual, spiritual needs of the child. The parents don't care. Image comes first. In Japan, they're called monster parents. Some are called helicopter parents. To me, they are the people who sacrifice experience, love, play, joy of life, all for money and an image. Now, these are egotists. And if you're not one of us, they'll shut you out. It's okay for me, but not you. The same attitude of any egotist. Now again, before we go judging everyone as a person who lives in the suburbia and is playing keep up with the Joneses, many are not. The way to spot them is that they always will have someone else in the family who isn't doing as good as they are. Financially speaking, of course. And the reason for this is they need someone to put down. Someone they can say, oh, what you do in life is so awful. We're good. When actually the reverse is true. And this is why these people are really, truly corrupt. Some would say evil. I wouldn't argue against that. They will set up psychological traps or spiritual traps for people to fall into. So, for example, if you're going through life and you do something that you think is okay, but turns out to be something that a lot of people judge as being wrong, these are the first people to come down on you and tear you apart. They've been waiting for it because they're the ones that set you up. And the reason, again, is so to say, oh, you're the bad person. Oh, you're the one that didn't make it. We're okay. You're not okay, but it's okay. Often called the black sheep of the family. These people who are struggling through life don't get it. They're here for something else. Why are the rest of my family putting me down, they will be thinking. Why are they acting so harsh towards me? And the basic reason is because they sold you out. You got elected to be the scapegoat, the black sheep of the family. It is one of the cruelest, most abhorrent things I have ever seen a family do. You can do no right. You can only do wrong. So the obvious answer to getting out of such a horrible scenario is you got to let that family go. You got to move on from it. If you stay in it trying to appease them, trying to prove them that you're okay, and God forbid you try to prove them that what they're really doing is awful, they will tear you apart. They can do this because they have ego. And what ego does and how it infiltrates your life, I'll put in another video called the Satan contract or the devil's contract. That video will go into basically more detail on how it all works. I highly recommend you see it if you're having a lot of trouble in your life and you have no idea why. Now, the other problem I've seen with moralists is because they're so self-righteous and they think they know everything. And for their world, they kind of do. But outside of the world, which is a very limited world, they don't know anything. However, they do have money, a privileged life, and power. This is why the egotists get political and use some of the isms: fascism, socialism, communism, and to another degree, capitalism. It's all to control the lives of people. Okay, so this sounds like you, and you think you're caught in this game. What do you do? If you try confronting the egotists, they will only set you up with another trap to make you look bad. You'll get nothing but hostility and denial from them. If you confront somebody who's decadent, you could get violence. Of course, the best thing to do is to walk away from this and don't care what these people think. They don't know anything. They don't know who you are. They only want to believe in the matrix that they live in, the fantasy world of their Keep Up with Joneses game. That's all they care about. They don't care about you. They don't care about life. They don't care about anything but their own self-interests. You're wasting your time. If you can cut them off and make a life with your loved ones that is pleasant, you have succeeded in what most people have a very hard time doing. Especially recently because these people are so invasive in other people's lives, which is another key thing. If they're causing conflict in someone else's life, this is a dead giveaway. They're either a moralist or a decadent individual playing with ego. Now, I'm not here to tell anyone how to live your life. I just know what my experiences are and how my ancestors think. And you ask yourself, do you live for money or do you live for life? If you live for money, well, you'll end up in the Keep Up with the Joneses and learn little, and potentially completely corrupt yourself. If you live for life, you can learn how to play, how to love, how to enjoy, how to see, and how to grow. My ancestors always made a conscious effort to spiritually expand, and I do not mean in the cult sense of love and joy and all these things. Not that at all. But by taking nature for what it is, incorporate it into your being and move along with it. Egotists are designed to disrupt that natural flow, simply because they gave up on growing themselves. And I'll get into cults and Satan contracts in another video. We'll explain that in more detail. Because a lot of the things that I talk about seem very cultish, only to the benefit of egotists. But that's what Natural Born Talents was about, was really just finding what your purpose in life is. Take it, move forward, get away from the egotists so you can succeed without cheating. In any case, as for me, life has become far, far, far more enjoyable by understanding the world around me. I hope it does for those who move away from ego and decadence as well. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from this video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. This is a very complicated subject. If you'd like to support this channel, the details are listed below. Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you at the next video.